Hello concert band, and welcome to week 7 of Learning from Home in Band. This week we're going to use the same warm-up that you've been using, so just go ahead and go through your warm-up, and once you're warmed up and ready, and you'll be coming back to the video, and we'll be starting on page 17 in your traditions book. So go ahead and do the warm-up. You can use the video that's there from before, and then skip over to the method book when you're done. For right now, we're going to be looking at fundamentals for band. So go ahead and get that up. I'll give you just a second. You can find it. You can pause the video, and when you've got it, you can come back. Okay, we're going to look at, find your page, and we're looking at number 2, long tones. On long tones, I'm going to set my metronome at 80 beats per minute, and we're going to hold these notes full value and play through line 2. So you can do that with me. I'll count you off. 1, 2, 3. Now we can repeat that exercise a couple of times. Just rest for a few seconds between to let the blood get back in your lips, and then play it again. For now, I'm moving on to number 3.01, articulation. I want you to listen to me play this one time and count with me. Then the second time I want you to play with me. Okay, fingering count with me this time. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now you're going to play with me this time. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so you can do that a couple of times until you get that even. If you have a metronome at home, you should be able to get one on your phone if you don't have one, and you can practice these without the video as well as with them. So now we're going to move on to 3-0-2, where we have 16th notes. And we'll count this pattern: 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4. I'll play it this time. I want you to finger with them and count out loud while I'm playing. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. We can do that again. Now this time, I want you to play with me. So we're going to get your horns ready to play. 1, 2, 3. Alright, you can repeat that as many times as you would like. Now looking at number 4, flexibility. The notes are going to be a little different in this for some instruments. You're going to hear me go lower when your notes are going higher, but your notes will still fit with what I'm playing. So we're going to start out by playing this tonguing every note, but keeping it smooth and connected. There is a repeat at the end, so after a 2-measure break to let your lips recover, then go back and play the second time. So the first time, let's play this and tongue each measure. Here we go. Everyone playing together. 1, 2, 3. Now this time we're going to slur it through. Ready? Now, you'll need to go through that as many times as you need to get that even, where you can slur each note in the brass, where you can make those slurs without having to use your tongue. And woodwinds to where your fingers are lining up and everything's coming out nice and smooth. Okay, now let's look at number 5.01, the 6-note scale in B flat. I'm going to set my metronome at 90 beats a minute. The first time we go through this, I want you to finger and say the note names with me. So let's do this one time through with you fingering and saying the note names. The first thing you always look at on this is the key signature. Here we go. Finger and say the names. 1, 2. Okay, now the next time we do this, I want you to play along with me. Notice that I made it all the way through that on one breath. So you should be able to do the same thing. I'm going to slow it down a little bit so that you can get more of the notes. Then we'll come back later and play this again, and you can pick up the tempo. So we're going to set it at 80 beats a minute and play through it together. Then you can come back later and play through with my first tempo, or practice it with your metronome. Here we go. Play with me. 1, 2. Okay, now let's look at number 5.02, the 6-note scale in E flat. I'll raise that back up to 90, so I'll be able to go through it on one full breath. Finger along, say the note names, look at the key signature first. Here we go. 502, 6-note scale in E flat. 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, we'll slow it back down. I want you to play with me this time. Once again, once you've done it at a slower speed, take your metronome, pick up the tempo. Here we go. 3, 4, 1, 2. Sorry about that, started on the wrong one. But you can hear it and play back through that without me. Okay. Now we're looking in your traditions book on page 17, and we're going to start with number 81, the Galway Piper. This is an Irish reel. A reel is a dance, and Galway is a beautiful city up on the western coast of Ireland. It's a big fishing city. And the piper can refer to the Irish pipes, the bagpipes, and there's a boat that's called the piper too that they use for fishing. That had the piper and the hooker. So this is called the Galway Piper. We're going to take this in 2-measure increments and get the counting first. So let's look at the first 2 measures. We have 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 4 16th notes. So 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 E and up. The 1 and 2 and stays the same on the 16th notes. 1 and 2 and 1 E and up. They're just the 16ths just fit in between the 2 8th notes and on top. So now we have to look at the key before we can start fingering. So let's look at our key signature. The C instruments have B flats, E flats, and A flats. So finger those. B flat instruments, you have a B flat, and saxes, everything is natural with that F natural. So finger and count with me while I play it. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 E and up. So finger and count with me. Ready? And. All right, now play that with me. 1 and 2 and first 2 now. Now let's look at the next 2 measures. The next 2 measures are counted exactly the same as the first 2. Just the notes are different. So finger and count with me on the next 2 measures. This is 3 and 4. Ready? 3 and 4. All right, now play that with me. Measure 3 and 4. Ready? Now. All right, so now let's look at the next 2 measures. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Finger and count that with me. Ready? Now. All right, play those 2 measures with me. Ready? Now. Okay. Now look at the last 2. 1 E and a 2 and 1 and 2. We have to make sure that we don't play our 16th notes and our 8th notes the same length, because the 16th note is only half as long as an 8th note. So finger and count with me, last 2 measures. Now. All right, you play with me, the last 2. Ready? Now. All right, finger and count with me all the way through. Finger and count. Ready? Now. Now play with me. 1 and 2 and ready. Now. All right. So now you can go back and work on that until you get that real good feel of that 8th note and 16th. Okay, now we're looking at number 82, Skillbuilder. Still using that same 16th note pattern, except on these we have some slur 2 tongue twos where we're going T-I-T-T, 1 E and up, or 2 E and up, depending on where the beat is. So let's look at the key signature before we do anything. So I'm looking at the key, and for C instruments you have a B flat and an E flat. So finger B flat, finger E flat, and your A's are second position, 2 fingers, second valve, and that goes, they're natural. For trumpets and clarinets, our B flat instruments, you have an F sharp. No, I'm sorry, you have nothing. Everything is natural. Your B's are natural. Saxophones, you have an F sharp. So let's make sure we're in the right key signature. So let's clap and count that first measure. So let's look at the first 2 measures. So just follow along while I clap and count the first 2 measures. 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. All right. I want you to finger and count this time, making sure we're using the right key. Finger and count with me. Ready? Now. All right, now play that with me. First two measures. Ready? And. All right, let's look at the next two measures. They're counted exactly the same as the first two. It's just the notes have changed. So finger and count with me on 3 and 4. 1 and 2, finger and count. Now. All right, now play the third and fourth measure with me. 1, 2, here we go. Now. All right, so let's look at the next line. Again, those first two measures are counted exactly the way we've been doing the rest. So let's finger and count the first two measures of the second line. Ready? Finger and count with me. Ready? And now. Making sure we're getting B naturals and A naturals in there and F sharps. So play that with me. First two measures of line 2. 2, ready, now. Now the last two measures, same counting. And it's the same as the first two measures with the exception of one note. So we'll have a couple of notes in the last measure. So just finger and count with me. Ready? Last two measures, finger and count. Ready? Now. All right, now play along with me on that. Last two measures. Ready? Begin. Okay, now I'm going to play the whole thing for you. And you can finger and count with me, and then you can go back and play with me. But first, finger and count. Here we go, all the way through 82. Ready? Now. And you can back the recording up and go over that as many times as you need to, fingering along and counting and playing. Okay, now let's look at number 83, rhythm time. On this, we have quarter notes, eighth notes, and 16th notes. And then in the second measure, they tie two of those 16th notes together, which basically makes it an eighth note. So look at the first measure with me. I'm going to clap and count it for you. It would go like 1, 2, and 3 E and a 4. Do that with me. Ready? Now. 1, 2, and 3 E and a 4. Make sure you're saying it out loud. Do it again. Ready? And now. 1, 2, and 3 E and a 4. Now let's look at the second measure. It's the exact same, except the last two 16ths are tied together. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, and 3 E and 4. 1, 2, and 3 E and 4. The is part of the end. So clap and count that with me. Second measure. Now, 1, 2, and 3 E and 4. All right. Then the third measure is the same thing. It's just written differently. It's written with the eighth note instead of the tied 16th. So we have 1, 2, and 3 E and 4. Do that with me. Third measure. Now, 1, 2, and 3 E and 4. And the last measure, We have 1 E and, 2 E and, 3, 4. Do that with me now. 1 E and, 2 E and, 3, 4. So let's clap and count all the way through 83 together. Here we go. Ready? And now. 1, 2 and, 3 E and a 4. 1, 2 and, 3 E and a 4. 1, 2 and, 3 E and 4. 1 E and, 2 E and 3, 4. All right, you can use what I've said and you can write the counting in under that line as we just went through it. So this says to play this on a concert F. It gives you your note in the book. So count while I play it this time. Here we go. Count with me while I play. 1, 2, and count out loud. All right, now you play with me. 1, 2, and 83 now. All right. So you can go over that as many times as you need. All right, now we're going to look at number 84, Sourwood Mountain. The first thing we have to do is check out the key signature. And in this key signature, we have for C instruments, we have a B flat. Your A's and E's are natural. For B flat instruments, you have an F sharp, with your B's being natural. In saxophones, you have F sharps and C sharps. So let's make sure we're in the right key signature. I want to look at this in two measure sections. So let's finger and count. The counting is the same as we worked on in the line above. So let's look at those first two measures. 1 and 2 E and 1 and 2 and. Finger and count that with me while I play. Ready? Now. Now play that with me. 1 and 2 E and 1 and 2 and. Play it now. Now look at the third and fourth measure. Finger and count with me. 1 and 2 and 1 E and a 2. Finger and count while I play. Now. Play that with me. Third and fourth measure. All right, let's play those four measures. I'll play them, you finger and count. First four measures. Ready? Finger count. All right, so now we're going to look at the next four measures, and we're going to notice they're the exact same thing you just played. So we already know the whole piece. So I'm going to play all the way through 84. You finger and count, then we'll do it together. Here we go. All the way through 84, you finger and count. Ready? Now. All right. Now you can go back and play along with that as well. All right, now we're going to look at your test for this week number 85. This test will be done on Flipgrid. I will make the test available around 3:30 on Thursday, and you have until 3:30 on Friday to get it taken. Make sure you tell me this country when you do your Flipgrid test so you get your extra credit. So I'm going to take this in four measure sections. So let's go through this. Let's clap and count the first four measures, and we're going to stop at the breath mark. We're not going to do the pickup. So let's clap and count. Ready? Just listen the first time, and then we'll do it together. 1 and 2 and a 1 and 2 and a 1 and 2 and 1 and hold. Now do that with me. Ready? Ready and now. 1 and 2 and a 1 and 2 and a 1 and 2 and 1 and hold. Now I want you to finger and count while I play. Look at the key signature, and when we do that, the C instruments, we have B flats and E flats. Your A's are natural. B flat instruments, everything natural. B's are natural. Sax is F sharp. So finger and count, first 4 with me. Ready? Now. All right, now play that with me. 1 and 2, and here we go. Now, we look at the next 4 measures, and they're exactly the same. The only thing is we have a pickup note now in measure 4 that goes into that measure. So we have and 1 and 2 and a 1 and 2 and a 1 and 2 and 1 and hold. So finger and count with me. We're starting on and of 2. Finger count, ready? Now. Well, it's just the same thing twice with the added pickup note. So let's play that starting from the beginning and going to the end of the line without the pickup on the end. Finger and count with me together. And. Okay, now play it with me. Ready? That much. Ready? Now. Now that gets us to the end of the line, leaves us with one note that picks up to the next line. So as we do this, let's look at the pickup note going into line 2. I'm going to clap and count it for you. It's 1 and 2. And 1 E and a 2, and 1 E and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1 and hold. All right, now you clap and count that with me. Ready? 1 and 2, and 1 E and a 2, and 1 E and 2, and 1 and 2, and 1 and hold. Now you finger and count while I play. Here we go. 1 and 2. All right, now play with me. This is the pickup to the second line. I'll give you 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Okay, now let's look at the rest of it. So the rest of this will start on the end of 2, and 1 E and 2, and a 1 and 2, and a 1 and 2, and 1 and 2. Notice now we have an 8th note followed by 2 16ths. So the 16ths start on and. So in that measure, that in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th measure, we have 1 E and 2 and a. 1 E and 2 and a 1 and 2 and a 1 and 2 and 1 and. So clap and count that with me. So the last 4 measures in the pickup. 1 and 2. And 1 E and 2 and a 1 and 2 and a 1 and 2 and 1 and hold. Okay, finger and count that. Here we go. 1 and 2. All right, so now I'm going to play all the way through for you. I want you to finger and count all the way through number 85 while I play. Here we go, finger and count. And then you can go back and back the recording up and play along. But this time, finger and count. 1 and ready and. Now, you can back that up and go over it as many times as you need to. Make sure you work that out in small sections before you put it together for your test, and the grade should be better. And don't forget to tell me where that is. Have a good week, practice hard, and see you soon.